So today I'm going to show you how to prep ahead, make some very soft yeast dinner rolls. You can make them the night before, hours before, days before. All you have to do is pop the dough into the refrigerator, and that's what I'm going to show you. So in the bowl we have a tablespoon of yeast and a tablespoon of sugar, and we're going to add 1 cup of lukewarm milk. It just feels warm to the touch, and that's what you want. Anything hotter and you're going to kill the yeast. Give it a good stir. Stir it until that yeast is mostly or all dissolved, along with the sugar. And then we're going to let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes to proof. I like to cover it to keep the heat in, but you don't have to. It will still proof even if you don't cover it. Pro tip, when you live in the north and it's really, really cold, check your outlets. This particular outlet was blowing like a blast furnace, but cold. Cold air was rushing out of here like this was an air vent and somebody had it turned on full blast. So I put a piece of tape over it, and I can still feel the cold when I touch it, but there's no longer any cold air blasting through it like crazy. And now we have our proofed yeast mixture, and what that means is the yeast has blossomed. Yeast is a living organism, which is why we want to make sure we don't have our milk or any liquid that we're using to proof it too hot. You also want to make sure that your butter is softened and that your eggs are at room temperature. You want everything to be at room temperature. So the yeast has proofed. So now we're going to add about a tablespoon of honey. I just kind of guesstimate, but feel free to measure. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I use a really good Celtic salt because it's got lots of minerals in it. Again, I just kind of guesstimate. Feel free to measure. You'll get used to it, and you will also be able to guesstimate. But until you do, measure. Just like with the yeast and milk, you will get used to it. You'll be able to touch it and know if it's too hot. But until then, measure. Okay, so I just added 3 more tablespoons of sugar to make the sugar total a 1/4 cup. We use the first tablespoon to feed the yeast to proof it. Okay? 2 eggs. Room temperature, remember. You'll thank me later. All right. 4 tablespoons of softened butter. Now, I'm using a mixer, a stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, then you're gonna wanna have melted butter. That way it's easier for you to mix all the ingredients. Since I'm using a stand mixer with a dough hook, I'm not so concerned about the butter being melted. Now I am going to add 3 cups of flour to the top. Just like so. I have attached my dough hook to my mixer. No, I don't have a fancy KitchenAid, but it gets the job done. I'm gonna turn it on 1 first. Let it start mixing, and then you can turn it up to 2. The mixer off so you can hear me, but as you can see, it's already starting to come together into a ball. That's what you want. You want it to pull away from the sides, combine together nicely, and make a nice formed ball. If it doesn't do that, you can add a tablespoon of flour at a time until it does. Don't do any more because you don't want to add too much flour. You'll get a very dry, crumbly dough. Okay, this dough has come together very nicely. I'm not going to add any more flour. It's just sticky enough that it sticks, but it also comes off of my spatula, okay? And I don't know about any of you, but my mother always taught me to use tinfoil shiny side down towards your food, because that's the side that has been buffed and polished the most. So it's cleaner. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that is nice and tight all the way around. We don't want any air getting in there and drying the dough out, because we're going to pop this in the refrigerator. I just love this. No need to take it out of the bowl. You can leave it in the same bowl that you made it in. Leave it in the refrigerator for as long as you need until you're ready to bake it.
A few moments later.
The dough will still rise in the refrigerator, as you can see. Okay, now we want to butter our pan very well so they don't stick, and we can get them out when they're done cooking. You can use a paper towel. I've used coffee filters. Right now, I'm just using my hand. The butter was a little bit cold still, and using my fingers warmed it up and made it easier to spread. You just want to lightly flour your surface. Never want to add too much flour to your dough. You can always add a little more, but you can't take it back. Punch down your dough and turn it out onto your surface. The nice thing about the refrigeration method is that your dough is cold and very easy to manipulate. A lot easier to cut and form and do everything you need to do. The trick I like to use for my hands so that I'm not adding more flour is to just oil them up. You can use olive oil, butter, whatever you want. Vegetable oil. That way you're not adding more flour than necessary. To make the rolls, we're just gonna flatten out a ball into a little circle. This isn't the way everybody does it, but this is the way I do it. I like to pull it from the edge and pull those edges into the center. Go around the circle, around the ball, until you've pulled all the edges into the center. Turn it over, give it a little twirl, and there you go. Repeat until they're done. Cover them and let them rest for about 30 minutes. I like to take this opportunity to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit.